Gentlemen, my name is Connor. This is Logan. Welcome to the Mediacast. There's a season in the air, and it is the Christmas season. So we thought it only fitting that this week we would discuss Christmas movies. Good ones, bad ones, in between ones. Yeah.
And I think it's only fitting that we start off this episode by just defining what we actually think a Christmas movie is.
I've honestly been thinking about this for 2 weeks, and I think I've come up with a good definition.
Go for it.
I think a Christmas movie is a movie that takes place in its entirety on or around Christmas, and the fact that it takes place on or around Christmas is important to the plot.
Right. Okay.
So,
that's fair.
Like we look at Harry Potter movies, and there's like Christmas in almost all of them. Maybe it is all of them.
Yeah.
But it's too short, and that Christmas part is not the most instrumental part of that movie.
It's not even really part of the plot arc. It's
It's almost like a break.
It's
for
just
most of them.
It's just part of the setting.
And another one we look at like Iron Man 3 takes place at Christmas time. But the fact that it takes place at Christmas is only important for one gag with a giant stuffed bunny and like 2 lines. Where it's like the vice president's having Christmas dinner and Tony blows up Tony blows up his suits and says Merry Christmas. Not substantial enough reason to note it as a Christmas movie.
I completely agree. I think one caveat to that is, or an addition is, movies that have like. No, never mind. Yeah, I answered my own question. Never mind. We're good. Keep going.
Yeah, Logan, why don't you start us off and talk to us about a Christmas movie?
So I think I'm gonna sort of talk about my favorite trio of Christmas movies to start us off. We talked about them briefly yesterday. The Tim Allen, the Santa Claus trilogy of movies.
No, I just want to ask a quick clarifying question.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Rank those 3 best to worst, just so we have an idea of what your mindset is.
2, 1, 3.
I think that's a pretty common mindset.
yeah. The third one, I'll briefly. Yeah. So anyway, first of all, there's a couple of reasons why I love these movies. Growing up, we didn't have cable TV or like anything growing up. You barely had like Farmer Vision with the rabbit ears and stuff. Yeah. So like we just watched VHSs and DVDs. That's like all we watched.
Yeah.
And so I had the first Santa Claus VHS or whatever and the second one, and I watched those all the time. Like generally as a kid, if I was like sad, because like as a kid I was a little bit of a depressed child sometimes. I would go and watch those movies.
Santa Claus was your fix.
Yeah. Because it's just this happy-go-lucky sort of warm movie and everything, and it's good. And so that was that. Yeah. But my family also really enjoys the 3 of these movies. Now, the first one, very unique premise for a movie, like especially a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Like it takes the idea of Santa Claus and kind of like throws it on its head, and then the fact that the name itself is a pun.
Yeah.
And the whole movie's based around this pun, this joke.
Yeah.
Is awesome. I think that's hilarious. So yeah, they're good family movies too. Like you can watch them at any age and get something from them.
Yeah, and I think you get different things at different ages too.
I haven't watched those movies in years, but I plan on watching them probably in the next like week or so.
I think all 3 are on Disney Plus. I'm pretty sure. So,
well, there we go. So I'm gonna watch them again because they're good. And good casting. Like you got Tim Allen. I can't remember the kid's name.
Are you talking about Spencer Breslin?
Yes. Yeah. He hasn't done much since.
He did more when he was a kid.
Yeah, he didn't do much after that. But just like good era specific, like they're dated movies for sure.
But sometimes it's a good thing.
Yeah, like, and that's what I mean. They're good. Overall, pretty good. Third one, if you never watched the third one, you're not gonna miss a ton. You know, it just kind of I don't know, the benevolent brother-in-law shows up, essentially. That's the whole plot.
Yeah.
And he takes over the North Pole, which happens every movie, apparently.
Yeah. That probably happens every year.
Yeah, every year. Yeah, I like the Santa Claus movies. They're just good, feel-good Christmas movies and everything. And they play well off of especially in the first movie with the kid, Charlie. Yeah. Like, he's kind of battling. Everybody tells him not to believe in Santa Claus because his stepdad's like a psychiatrist and says, like, you shouldn't believe in Santa. It's not true. But yet his real dad is actually Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's this kind of cool, like, meta narrative for a kid who's like, who might be going through that or not understanding, like, that Santa Claus is or isn't real kind of thing. You know, every person has that moment where their innocence is stripped of them and they realize that this Santa Claus isn't real. And so they play off.
Spoiler alert, in real life.
Yeah, spoiler alert. And so they play off that well, especially as a kid. You can pick up on that. You can relate well to one of the main characters, the kid.
Yep. Now you came out the gate swinging, positive.
Yeah.
I'm going to come out the gate and swing a little bit negative.
Go for it.
But I am going to roll with the same Tim Allen train. Recently I watched for the very first time Christmas with the Cranks. You know what? I enjoyed the concept of the movie.
Yeah.
Right, where they're going to boycott Christmas so they can have enough money to go on this cruise, this holiday. But I didn't like it. It had funny jokes and funny moments, and it felt like it should have been like a series of like gags, like in commercials or something.
Yeah.
But as a movie, it didn't land for me. And then the end of that movie, man, is so long.
Yeah, it is.
Because the daughter comes home, right, so that to cancel all their holiday plans and make Christmas. And it should have been, welcome back. We actually do believe in Christmas. The end. But Tim Allen mopes about not going on his vacation for another 30 minutes. And man, does that just stretch out and kill anything that I liked about the beginning of that movie.
Yeah. I agree with you. It's... I think me and my mom actually watched that movie in theaters, if I can remember correctly. I'm not sure. But we definitely, we watched it. And I was I was a little young maybe to fully understand the whole plot of the movie, but I can remember laughing at two distinct moments, like belly laughing. I think it's right at the beginning of the movie. Him and his wife are out to dinner, and he just got the plastic surgery done or whatever, and he can't chew, so he's eating the fruit or whatever. It's just falling out of his mouth.
Yeah,
I thought that was really funny. And then when the wife has to go get the honey roast ham or whatever, the honey glazed ham. And she chases
run over by a semi?
Yeah, chases it throughout the thing. I thought, okay, it's funny gag comedy, but
not a great one. But you also talked about flipping the idea of Santa Claus on its head. And something I also watched recently for the first time that I really liked was Arthur Christmas.
Oh yeah,
it's an animated movie.
Yep.
Where they say that Santa is not just one person. Since whenever Santa started till now, it's been a family, and the son's been picking up the Santa Claus mantle. And now the current Santa Claus is at the age where everyone wants him to retire. And Santa's one son has upgraded all the tech of Santa Claus and Christmas to be next level, so they can hit the whole world in a matter of hours, rather than taking the whole night.
Yep.
But his other son just really cares for the kids that are getting these presents. And then on this Christmas night, one present gets missed. And they have to decide what they're going to do about it. If they're going to accept the .004, error margin. Or if they're actually going to do something about it. And there's 3 generations of Santa Clauses in this movie. There's a grandpa, dad, and a son. And the way that the idea of Santa Claus worked around those 3. And the conflicts that came of it. I really enjoyed it. And if you haven't seen it, I would recommend that you watch it.
I actually haven't seen that yet, so you know what? And I saw you guys watching it, and so I caught some of it. And I was like, oh, this looks pretty good. Now, on that similar train of animated Christmas movies, kind of, I want to put a feeler out there, because it just came to me.
All right, let's feel it.
And I want to ask, is this movie a Christmas movie? Is the first Alvin and the Chipmunks a Christmas movie?
No, I was actually thinking about that earlier
Okay.
today. Because I was saying Christmas.
Yeah.
I just don't think it takes enough, time at Christmas time. Like, there's one song that kind of kicks the movie going.
Yeah.
But, and, we're talking Christmas. Alvin Chipmunks are big for Christmas songs. And I mean, as long as you can handle the high-pitched voices, they're good, fun songs.
Yeah, I actually really like the first one.
Yeah.
The first one's actually really funny and wholesome. But I agree. I don't think it's a Christmas movie because it's not... The whole plot isn't set... Like, the whole plot arc isn't there's not a conflict about Christmas that they have to resolve.
Yeah.
It's just... It just has a big portion of it around Christmas.
Yeah.
So, okay. I just throwing the feeler out there, seeing where we're at.
But in light of animated movies, I'm just going to throw, bam, 3 of them out here.
Go for it.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Wait, okay, hang on. Which Rudolph are we talking about, though? Because there's 2 different versions of this one.
Like the very old.
So you're talking the
motion.
weird claymation stop-motion one. Okay, that one's good.
Frosty the Snowman.
Yep.
Cartoon one.
Yeah.
And similar to the Rudolph style of like stop-motion, Little Drummer Boy.
Yeah, Little Drummer Boy is kind of boring. But, like...
Yeah, out of the 3, it's probably my least favorite.
Yeah.
I think I probably actually just list them from best to worst.
Yeah,
in my mind.
Good, like, I love the Rudolph animated one. The claymation and stuff and stop motion holds up well.
Yeah.
Oh, I will say this, though. Have you seen the more modern, like, early 2000s, maybe, Rudolph? Where, like...
I feel like I watched it years ago, but it's not like the one that I...
Because there's, like, an actual villain they have to defeat. There's, like, an ice witch or a queen somewhere.
Yeah.
And it was so cool. I longed for Christmas because I got to watch that movie because it was always on TV.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, heck yes, give me this.
Yeah.
It was a cool movie. It had really cool animation to it.
Nice.
And being a kid that was bullied, you could relate to Rudolph.
Yeah.
You know?
Just a little sidebar. It always makes me laugh. In the past few years, Christmas comes around and people talk about, man, these Christmas songs have, like, really, awful meanings that we shouldn't listen to them. Like, Baby It's Cold Outside. Where it's a guy trying to get a girl to stay home, probably to have sex with her.
Oh, yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
It's like, yeah, but Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is something about a kid who got bullied his entire life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're not going to, like, shut that one down? Come on.
Cancel culture is hypocrisy. But that's a discussion for another time.
That's a different podcast.
Yeah.
That's the Cancel Cast.
Coming to you live. Never.
Yes. Because we canceled it.
Yeah.
Okay, give us another Christmas movie.
Okay, let's do Elf. How we, like...
I love Elf.
Elf is a good live... Like, it's a good Christmas movie.
Good fun. I enjoy it.
It's a good, like... It's a good cast.
Yep.
Yeah, Will Ferrell.
I think, and truthfully, I think it's one of Will Ferrell's better roles, and it's one of the roles that, like, if you haven't seen a ton of his movies, that's a good one to start with. Because some of his work is maybe a little more risque.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, and maybe you don't want to start with that, because that's a little,
it's a lot.
You don't want to jump right in the deep end. But if you want to enjoy some Will Ferrell and then work your way up, I think Elf is a great one to start with.
Elf is... Now, I'll say this. Elf is still too overhyped. Like, everybody rages about this movie. They think it's they idolize it more than freaking Coca-Cola idolized Santa Claus for Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, it's good, people, but it ain't that good, okay?
Yeah.
Like, you got a couple of funny gifs out of it that, people use and stuff. It was good memes and everything. It's a good watch. I probably wouldn't watch it every Christmas, maybe give her a year and take a break and then watch it again. But, like, it's a great Christmas movie out of, like, the abundance of them that there are. But it does not live up to the hype that people remember it having. It's like, slow down, pump the brakes a little bit. Like, it's, Yeah.
People, it's not that it's, like, down here.
No.
It's just, it's not here. It's it's there.
Yeah. Like,
it's a great, we're not bashing the movie at all.
No.
Just some people think too much of it.
Yes. I feel like I'm just gonna put another one out there, but that I know both like.
Is it time to talk about the one?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
Cool.
Well, unless we're talking about a different one. No, I want to talk about Jingle All the Way.
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger. Good movie. I haven't watched it. I haven't watched Christmas movies in forever. Well, there's a couple that my family always watches around Christmas, and I think really only one of them is actually a Christmas movie. But I love Jingle All the Way. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like still to this day, if I went back and watched it, I would get a good kick out of it.
And it's nice too. This is a hot take that we'll discuss in another podcast.
Yeah.
I don't think Arnold Schwarzenegger is that great of an actor.
He's not.
But when he's put into a bit more of a goofy role like this one, I think it works well.
Absolutely. This is like it's not that I love the Christmas like the story that they're telling at Christmas time of like this kind of probably we'll assume a little bit of an absentee father's busy and everything, and he thinks that it's this really cool moment of like this guy's willing to do anything to get this kid Turbo Man. Like it's like, okay, that's really I like that, Yeah. That's cool. I enjoy that dedication, and
it's beautiful.
That's beautiful. And it's got some good funny moments in there, and like such a weird cast. Sinbad is in the movie.
Yeah.
He just teams like he's the villain, kind of. It's so weird. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
But this is a movie that it worked being weird.
Yeah, it did work being weird.
Yeah,
it did.
All right, let's go to two classics.
Yeah,
I think many people watch these, every Christmas. Just Home Alone 1 and 2. Oh. Now, there are other Home Alones. 3's okay. I just don't feel like talking about it. The other ones, 4 and 5, just suck.
They don't. There's a fifth one.
There's a fifth one.
I saw the first 4.
Let's just talk about the first 2.
And 3 isn't a Christmas movie. It has nothing to do with Christmas. I don't even think there's a Christmas tree up.
I can't remember. Most of the house is destroyed by the end of the movie. So.
Yeah, it's not a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
But Home Alone 1 and 2, the classic.
Yeah.
The whole, like, if you want a movie, like, if people like to argue that, like, oh, it's not a Christmas movie because whatever. I was like, the whole point of the movie is the kid wishes he doesn't have his family for Christmas, and that's what happens.
And his mom's trying to get back to him, so he's not alone on
Christmas.
Day.
Like, literally the whole, like, I've heard the argument before, and I'm like, have you watched the movie?
Yeah.
Like, and they're like, action movies can't be Christmas movies. I was like, that's just definitively wrong.
Yeah.
They can be. And Home Alone is a good example of that.
And realistically, this is something you notice when you grow up. Like when you're a kid and you watch it.
Oh, I know exactly where you're going with this.
The action part of it feels like the whole movie to you.
Yeah.
You grow up, there's another 2/3 of that movie that just kind of went in one ear and out the other when you were younger.
No, I actually liked a lot of the stuff. Like,
and there's so many jokes that you just don't get.
Oh,
when
yes,
you're younger.
Yes.
And so this is a movie that works so well to keep watching as you grow older because you'll keep understanding new jokes and you're like, oh, I did not get that joke earlier.
Yes.
But now I do.
It's solid. This is sort of the one movie that my family kind of watched every Christmas. Yeah. Like, my eldest brother, he moved out because he's way older than us, and he'd come over for Christmas Eve, and, Christmas Eve or whatever, you played board games. Usually the 3 brothers, we'd play a game of Risk, and then, you have Home Alone on in the background, and it's just, like, it's such a good, like, movie.
Yeah.
It's so funny. And
what's even funner is when you go on the internet after and look up, how many times Marv and Harry would have died.
Oh,
from all the trauma that they
they
faced.
Yeah, relevant podcast. I listened to them. Whatever, and they did a whole. They had like they read a study like a psychologist did about how Kevin McAllister is actually a sociopath.
Oh yeah,
and like how there's a real fan theory that he grows up to be Jigsaw. That's like the leading theory is that they're connected because they're like under the same studio or something. I don't know. There's some weird micro connection.
Yeah. And,
But
and like, he calls the cops eventually.
Yeah.
Which tells you he could have done it all along. He just chose to torture people.
well, I think the idea is, well, no, he didn't want to. I think because I've thought about that before of like, why didn't he just call the cops? I think the way that I always understood it in my brain, anyway. Now, whether this is true or not, we'll see.
Yeah.
Is especially at the end, like when at the very last like 15 minutes of the movie when he's really giving it to them.
Yeah.
I think the idea is that he wanted to like actually get them caught, not just because like he calls the police, he overhears people saying they're gonna break into his house.
Yeah.
Like, there's no substantial evidence, and even in a 9-year-old or whatever, however old he is, could have picked up on that. So it's like, I think the idea is, okay, well, let's catch them in the act then. And so that's when he puts all the booby traps to try to slow them down.
It's a very optimistic view of it.
Hey, don't ruin my childhood. Now, I think everybody seems to think the second one is better. Nah, first one.
It's not bad. I'd say they're pretty close, actually, but the first one is kind of like the classic, which would make it better, I think.
Shoutouts to Mr. Trump making a nice cameo in Home Alone 2, which is actually, that scene is now cut from all
Disney Plus, I assume.
Yeah, maybe, but when it was airing on TV, in the States, like last year or whatever, they cut that part out. Wasn't there? Right. Anyway, yeah, but they had that movie actually has a really good cast, especially the second one.
Yeah,
because you have, I'm blanking. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad with actors' names.
Who are you thinking of?
Oh, the butler.
The butler?
The concierge dude.
Are you talking about Tim Curry?
Yeah, there's Tim Curry, but then the other one. Oh my gosh, you think Grown Ups, he gets his arrow shot. He gets his foot shot with the arrow. In Grown Ups. Maze.
I don't know who you're talking about.
The short one in Grown Ups.
You're talking about Rob Schneider?
Yes, thank you. I knew it was Rob something. Rob Schneider's in the movie. He's a concierge as well. He's a bellhop.
I think I missed that.
Yeah, he's in it.
Cool.
And then there's other famous people in it too, but they're good movies.
Yeah.
And they actually age well.
Yeah.
Like you go back, like kids today watch this movie and actually think it's funny.
Yeah.
So I have, I guess, good friends of mine here in the city, and I babysat them like last year right around this time. And they're like really young.
Yeah.
And they were kind of like, oh, we're bored. What do we do? Blah, blah, blah. Because we'd just been playing hide and seek for like 2 hours. And I was like, okay, we need to do something else.
Yeah.
And they was like, well, let's watch a movie. I was a little hesitant to play Home Alone because, it's a little violent, and it just, whatever. But then she was like, no, we watched it we started it in school and never got to finish it. I was like, okay, school watched it, I guess. And like, they're like really young kids. Like they're like under 10.
And Logan has never babysat for them again.
I haven't. But that's not why. Oh, maybe it was, but I never got told that. No, but they watched it and they were like laughing at some of the jokes.
Yeah. Like
even that like Kevin was making and stuff. And I was like, but I would just, in my mind, I couldn't believe that they were laughing at some jokes that a kid their age or a little bit older was making 20 years ago.
Yeah. I
was like, okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah. I think that's enough about Home Alone.
Keeping on the trail of excessive violence and
action, yes.
I think it's time. Because Die Hard does take place at Christmas.
And the plot.
And the fact it's Christmas is important to the movie. Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Yes.
And it's a great one.
It is a very good one at that.
It's such a smart action movie too, where it's not just like Bruce Willis doesn't show up and start shooting fools down.
Nope.
He starts off with a pistol, right?
Well, actually, he starts off with his hands. He doesn't even have anything.
He's a cop, so he starts off with a pistol.
Does he? I thought when he went through security, they took it from him.
No. And then he gets a machine gun. Yeah. And then he slowly picks his way through, this massive group of bad guys.
Yep.
Who are also not dumb.
No.
I mean, some of the decisions they make are kind of dumb. But, they have, a very smart plan on how to break into this vault, and they plan on blowing up the building so that everyone thinks that they're dead so they can get away without being followed.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of smartness in this movie. And I like the relationship that Bruce Willis forms with the cop.
Yep.
On the ground, and how that, one of the conversations about the cop shooting a kid and he hasn't touched a gun since, he hasn't fired a gun, then comes back at the end of the movie when he fires a gun to save Bruce Willis's life.
Yep.
That's a great setup and payoff.
Take note, Michael Bay. That's how you do an emotional scene like that.
Yeah. Or just don't try.
Just don't do it at all.
Yeah.
Oh, I completely agree. It is the whole plot of the movie is him coming home for Christmas to visit his ex-wife.
Not ex-wife.
Sorry, but
yeah.
But they were split.
His rough wife.
Yes, his
rough relationship. It's complicated.
It's complicated wife. So yes, the whole movie is a Christmas movie. It's a great one. And for me as a person who plays video games, I'm not going to try to equate Die Hard to video games completely, but when you talk about a situation where you're one against 15 people, you can't run in there guns blazing. You can't. And they do it super well.
Yeah.
He slowly but surely takes out people, and not without consequence along the way either.
Yeah. He's beat up bad by the time that movie's done.
He's walking on the glass,
yeah.
That's gross.
And he has to run on those feet for the rest of the movie too.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's done really well. It's a very good, and the Christmas. Yeah, it's not your average Christmas movie, that's for sure.
No,
but it's a good one,
and then maybe that's why it is good.
I'd agree. It kind of took the genre and pushed it around, pushed the envelope a little bit.
Yep.
Now, I think I'm going to talk about this one because I didn't mention it in the animated ones.
Yeah.
But Polar Express.
Yeah, that one here as well.
This was, I think, actually the very first movie I saw in theaters.
Cool.
It was for my birthday, which is weird because, well, not really.
Well, you're a late November.
Late November, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Such a good, it's so good. And the animation is very cool and unique, and there hasn't really been a movie like it since.
Yeah, well, it looks a little odd at times because it's animated to look almost real.
Well, because it's mocap.
Not quite.
It's face cap with mocap, and then they threw that into an animation engine. So the conductor stuff sometimes looks a little weird, but it's still so cool. And when you're a kid, you don't care about that.
No.
You just get lost in this epic world of being picked to go to the North Pole for Christmas, right?
Yeah, and I even like the fact that the main kid doesn't actually believe in Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Even though a train came to his house and all these things happen and he doesn't believe for the longest time, despite all this weird stuff that could really only be explained by the fact that they're going to visit Santa Claus.
They're going to Santa Claus, yep.
Right? And it's not till right near the end of the movie when he rings the bell and he can hear it. I think that's cool. He didn't lose that too early.
Mm-hmm.
And it made the character interesting as well. Having this disbelief the whole time.
I just enjoy it's just a good movie.
Yeah.
It's just it's wholesome. And you have great voice acting.
Yep.
And just character acting.
Tom Hanks
is the conductor and kind of runs the show.
Yep.
Pretty cool. I can remember there's one scene and it's a CG masterpiece when they go into the present factory and it's just this huge wide shot of
Yeah.
all of these things just like moving and everything, and it's so cool. And technology, 10, 15 years ago when this movie came out, still wasn't like what we have today. So to render that out and everything would have been like you're hit and render and you're gambling.
Yeah.
So like it's awesome.
Yeah.
And for that, I enjoy it as a very good Christmas movie. I have more respect for it now as an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another great animated one. This is only a year or two old. It's called Klaus.
Oh yes.
It's on Netflix. I believe it's a Netflix original actually.
Yep.
And it's an origin story of Santa with J.K. Simmons as Santa as well, or as Klaus.
Yes,
I guess.
Klaus.
And how this postman gets sent to like this middle of nowhere town, and he comes across this guy Klaus, who makes toys, and they secretly work in the nighttime to deliver toys.
Oh, that's cool.
To the different houses, and like the whole city is like two families or something like rivaling against each other, so everyone hates each other and no one gets along. But through all this work, I mean, spoiler alert, it gets better.
Yeah.
And it's the animation is really cool in it, where like it's not realistic by any means.
Yeah.
Everyone's really oddly misshapen and everything, but it looks really cool, and it works for the story where you can tell things about someone just by the way that they look.
Yeah, like that.
Which maybe you shouldn't assume things, but you're going to, and it's totally safe to do so in this movie.
That's awesome. So Arthur Christmas and Klaus. I should probably watch those because, yeah. Now, I'm gonna mention them.
Yeah, go.
Sorry. Deck the Halls.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention it earlier when I was talking about less good Christmas movies.
Yep.
I watched this movie so much as a kid. For some reason, I guess I just really like Christmas movies.
Yeah.
But the premise of this movie is just so ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Like, you want to talk about taking the Christmas genre and like throwing it on its head? That's a good example of that. So it's two rivaling neighbors.
Yeah.
Who one has is just a super traditional, you might say, like, nuclear conservative family at Christmas time. Big red door and the wreath and the 2-story house and the big tree and turtlenecks and the whole thing. The traditional Christmas card in the same place, same picture every year. And you got the new people that move in that are these wacky, crazy...
Daniel DeVito.
Yeah, Danny DeVito types who apparently just has like an extremely attractive wife.
Yeah.
This is really weird. And he's a used car salesman or something. And then the other guy works at a bank or something. I don't know. I don't know. Was it
Matthew Broderick?
Matthew Broderick.
Yeah.
He plays the one neighbor. And the whole premise is Danny DeVito feels just lackluster in his life, and he wants to do something so magnificent that he'll be remembered for it. So his big idea is he wants to decorate his house in enough Christmas lights to be seen from space.
Yep.
And it all starts because his daughters were using Google Earth or Google Maps at the time to like look at something. And then the neighbor's house, Matthew Broderick's house, is there, but not theirs. And he's like, "Durr, that's not good."
Yeah.
Good movie. It's funny. You get the kind of they up each other every time, and it's fun.
Rivalry.
Good rivalry stuff. It's funny. Whatever. Like, it's not a good movie necessarily. It's not one I'd say you go out and watch right now, but if it's on, I'd give it a watch. Yeah.
A late night watch. If you fall asleep, it's okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of bright Christmas lights in a house, let's talk about National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
I actually don't think I've seen this movie, or it's in its entirety.
It's just a funny movie, man. And okay, so when I was talking about Christmas the Cranks, I talked about how a lot of it felt like gags that were just thrown together but didn't work out.
Yeah. This
movie's very similar, where it's a lot of gags that happen, but they're knit together really well.
Yeah, because I've seen
just to make this fun movie.
I've seen the other National Lampoon's movie, the European one or whatever. I've seen that one, so I assume the Christmas is the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are some great moments, including when they cover their entire house with Christmas lights and turn it on and blind the neighbors. There's probably one of my favorite scenes is when he puts his cooking oil that's 5,000 times more slippier than regular oil, and he goes down a hill so fast and he like hits the freeway and is passing cars and stuff. Crashes through a Walmart.
That's awesome.
It's pretty funny. Yeah. If you want a good laugh this Christmas, National Lampoons.
Yeah. I'm in. I mean, I've seen so many of the clips that I feel like I've seen the movie, you know?
Yeah.
But maybe I'll watch it. My list seems to just get bigger and bigger.
No. We've been a little positive recently. Let's bring it back down. We're too happy.
Time to trash talk some Christmas movies now.
Remember we said Will Ferrell wasn't a good Christmas movie?
It is also a bad one.
This one sucks. It's Daddy's Home 2.
Oh, I haven't even seen it yet, so
Man,
I don't plan on it now.
I liked the first Daddy's Home.
I do too.
It's a fun movie where there's two dads that are totally different people have to try and compete.
The ending of that movie, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second one, their dads show up.
Yeah.
And it's just a weird movie, man. There's a lot of like sex jokes, but it's like sex jokes between Mark Wahlberg and his dad, or between like the kids. Like one of the
jokes,
you
were telling me about this.
One of the running jokes in the movie, which is just weird, is that the one son has a crush on his sister, and then like at the end of the movie, he just goes and makes out with her. And then after that, because he hadn't kissed anyone before, they're in like a movie theater or something, and every kid in the theater comes and makes out with him at the end. It's and like this kid's like 10.
I don't like that.
It's weird, man.
I don't like that at all.
And like they've taken a bunch of like other jokes from other movies where they get a Christmas tree that's way too tall for their house, and it's not as funny. It's worse.
Yeah.
And I mean, these are like good actors like Will Ferrell, Mark Wahlberg, Linda Cardellini, Mel Gibson, John Lithgow, right? This should have been a good movie, and the first one was good. It was funny.
Well, I think what happened was they saw the success of the first one, and they're like, "How about Daddy's Home?" But the daddies coming home are their dads, and then everybody was like, "Oh, that's such a great idea!" And then 20 writers started making all these dick jokes, and then nobody kind of remembered. Oh, yeah, this is kind of meant for families, not...
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm happy to
just don't
trash all over that movie. I never planned on watching it. Well, I did because I actually really liked the first one, and the press that they did for the second one was really good.
You're talking about the dad jokes?
Yeah, they did a couple other interviews and stuff that was really funny, and I was like, oh, I'm into this. Not anymore. What other bad Christmas movies are there?
I have an okay one for you. This one came out last year.
Oh man,
It's called Last Christmas. Do you know the song Last Christmas? Last Christmas, gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away.
Yeah.
What if you made a movie that took those two lines and made them literal?
Sounds terrible.
So I'm gonna spoil the end of the movie for you.
It's just spoiler warning for Last Christmas from a year ago.
So this girl who's played by Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones.
Good actress.
She's kind of like a washed up slacker working at this Christmas store. And then she meets this guy played by Henry Golding. He was the bad guy in The Gentleman.
Yeah.
And they hit it off and they have this romance. And about halfway through you find out that Emilia Clarke had this heart surgery last Christmas, and this guy that she ran into has been just like a hallucination in her mind the whole time because she has his heart inside of her, and he came as a hallucination to get her to straighten up her life so that she wouldn't like throw her heart away, right, and die.
I can actually there's a good heartfelt story there kind of. I can get behind that.
And a lot of the stuff with Emilia and Henry, like they were really good together. And the story is interesting, and it's, trying to take this song and make it a little literal, good attempt. And a lot of where the movie falls apart is the supporting cast. Emma Thompson's in it. Oh, and part of Emilia Clarke's story is that her and her family are immigrants in London from from the Ukraine, and people are super racist towards Ukrainians apparently
Yeah, they are.
in London, and so there's it was probably about 2 hours long. There's probably 20 minutes of Emma Thompson just moping about because she's Ukrainian, and she has like this really bad accent on, so you can't understand half of what she's saying, and she just went and Michelle Yeoh, I believe, plays her boss at the Christmas store, and she gets in this weird romance, and that just wasn't that interesting. So I think it could have been a much better movie if they, kept the focus on Emilia and Henry, but it died away in the in between moments, and I'll say it's okay.
Yeah. You had me for a little while, like, oh, that sounds cool,
Yeah.
But then the last part, I was kind of like, meh. Got any others on there? Let's do like one more, kind of finish her off maybe on a high note. It's Christmas. Let's be positive.
Bro.
Did we forget one?
Charlie Brown Christmas.
Okay.
What a classic, man.
It's a good classic. Yeah, it's good.
And everyone remembers the scene with the dinky little tree with one ornament on it, and they all come and gather around, and it becomes this just
big tree.
Luscious ornament covered tree.
Mm-hmm.
Just what a beautiful moment, man.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Charlie Brown is just great in general, and I mean, Charlie Brown Christmas is no exception. If you want a short, wonderful Christmas movie, Charlie Brown Christmas is where you gotta go.
And just on that note too, most like animated Christmas movies are pretty good actually.
Yep.
Like, I think, and most kids' Christmas movies are actually like pretty good for families too. Like, it's not like you as a parent are going to be sitting there watching, just mindless drivel for an hour. Like, you actually will get some stuff from it. So shout outs to all you children's movie makers out there. You're doing it right for the Christmas movies.
Yeah.
So keep it up, I guess.
Yeah. It's Christmas. We love movies. And a lot of Christmas movies are really good.
Yeah, and it's positive. I don't like to come on here and just completely trash movies. We'll definitely do that from time to time. Transformers in review.
Yeah.
But Christmas, let's be positive. I liked.
Yeah.
This is a good episode, I think.
Yeah.
Just a good, wholesome talk on Christmas movies.
Yeah.
But
minus a few of them.
But even when we talked about them, it wasn't like they were terrible. It was just like they're not as good as the others.
Yeah.
But this has been the Mediacast presents the Moviecast.
Yes, it has.
Thank you all for listening and watching. Shout outs to everybody that, watched all throughout 2020.
Yeah.
Congrats on, congratulations on finding this diamond in the rough, I guess.
Yeah, that's what we're going to call ourselves.
Yeah, we'll call ourselves that. But please, remember, like, comment, and subscribe. You share it around, please. That's how we get more people in here. I can't speak for Connor, but I know for me, when we're making this, the more people that we have, either like commenting on YouTube or live in chat, it makes the experience better. Because we're not perfect. It sparks my ideas, and I think it helps you. And it's just a fun way to interact with people. So if you're interested in that, make sure you give the Twitch channel a follow. Link will be in the description. And while you're down in that description, go and follow the Shininator Film Reviews here on Facebook.com/Shinman's List. I'm sure he'll be putting out his 2020 in review list at some point.
January 1.
January 1 is when it'll be up.
You can also check out the Mediacast Facebook page.
Yes.
Facebook.com/the Mediacast.
Yeah, maybe.
Pretty simple.
Yeah, it's simple. So yeah, you can share that around. Hopefully, I don't know how I'm gonna get the videos up on I might just have to post the YouTubes. Anyway, we'll figure it out later. But also, I'm not promising anything, but I'm gonna look hard. I've been looking really hard into this, and I want to be held accountable. So I may have found a solution to getting these podcasts on, like a good free option of getting these onto Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts and everything. So If that's something you guys would want, please comment. Let us know. Because then I have to edit them to do that as well.
Yeah.
So I have to render out a couple extra files, which isn't a big deal. But if that's something you guys would be looking forward to, actually having your podcast on a podcast platform, I know, shocker. We'd be happy to help that out. And now that it's on video, I have to keep myself accountable for it. So it probably won't happen in 2020, but 2021.
Unless he edits this part out.
No, I won't edit this part out. Yeah. So look, 2021, we should be on podcast platforms.
Cool.
So that should be good. But yeah, this has been Logie Bear and the Shininator. And
see you next time.
Merry Christmas, everybody.